everyone. Welcome to today's session where we are going to look at the poem At the Back of Progress by Taslima Nasreen. Before we begin the poem, let's have a brief discussion on the poet. Taslima Nasreen is a Bangladeshi feminist author who is a staunch fighter for women's rights. She is a former physician. She is also a secular humanist who is very much against the religious fundamentalism which she holds responsible for the oppression of women, especially in Bangladesh, through various activities like publishing, lecturing, campaigning. She advocates human rights, freedom of thought, and equality for women. Through her incinerating writings as a widely regarded author in the form of numerous books, poems, short stories, and essays, she was forced into exile. And specifically, it was this publication of her breakthrough novel Shame or Lajja in 1993 which drew huge attention or a huge amount of controversy on the ground of its inflammable content or subject matter. The Council of the Soldiers of Islam issued a fatwa or death sentence on her. Taslima Nasreen is a woman who doesn't afraid to speak her mind. Known as a noted feminist author of South Asia, she condemned the patriarchal practices and the oppression of women. Ultimately, her crime was to be inquisitive. She demands the answers from those who are responsible for the abominable crimes against the women. As in her own words, I thought it was natural to ask why. I don't understand why they accepted being beaten by their husbands, being prevented from going outside without permission, being forced to marry somebody and stopping their studies after marriage. I know that this is a very difficult situation because if you divorce your husband and try to be independent, you will be called prostitute. But I don't care what people call me. Maybe that is the difference. So evidently, it is very clear that it is her this straightforward and honest approach which received huge criticism, especially from the conservative Muslim population. And after this discussion, it is this framework or circumstances, Nasreen writes, and her poems portray, as it is displaying on the screen, her poems portray women trying to escape from a patriarchal system where men are always blocking the door, where men follow you and whistle, and where rapists hand out character references. Now let's proceed the poem. And as you can see the title, At the Back of Progress, it is very indicative that it is something related to the back of the progress, means the hidden phase of the development or progress. And after this discussion, I hope that you are familiar with the context in which Nasreen writes, and you can very well assess that this is something related to the plight of women in the society. And yes, it is the hidden development. It is about the hidden development, hidden phase, hideous phase of the development which Nasreen is exposing, and along with it, she is also laying bare the attitude of man, the double face of man, and his double standards or stance on morality. So, and one more thing I would like to add, that in the current scenario, when society claims to be progressing and developing, the situation of the women remains the same because the maltreatment and exploitation it exists at all level. And this similar tone is echoing in this whole poem, because in this poem Nasreen has presented three men belonging or hailing from different strata of the society, but their attitude towards women is hegemonic, exploitative, and they all are engaged in suppressing the women who belong to them or who is under their control, as per the power structure of the society, as Nasreen has pointed out, that as per the power structure of the society, the hegemony allows the man to exploit the women because they are helpless to be at the mercy of man. So such is the condition, such in this context, in this circumstance, Nasreen has composed this poem. So let's begin the poem. I'm reading it to you. The fellow who sits in the air-conditioned office is the one who in his youth raped a dozen or so young girls. Now, in the very first line, this fellow sitting in the air-conditioned office. So this word air-conditioned office is projecting an image of a man who is sitting in an office which belongs to the upper class. So this man is very high ranking man. So this man belongs to the upper class or upper strata of the society. He is a very high ranking man, and this man, so this air conditioned office is projecting an image that this man belongs to a very civil society, upper class society. But in the very second line, this word raped is suggesting something else, his animality. And this is the man who has raped a dozen or so young girls. That means it is this line, a dozen or so, is implying that this man even himself doesn't remember that how many girls he has exploited. He doesn't know the number, a dozen or so. It's very normal, a dozen or so young girls. And so I hope that you have get the tone or get the setting of the poem. The fellow who sits in the air-conditioned office is the one who in his youth raped a dozen or so young girls, and at cocktail parties is secretly stricken with lust, fastening his eyes on loveliest belly buttons. And this is the man who lustfully ogles or stares at the beautiful ladies or women at the parties. Next stanza. In 5-star hotels, he tries out his different sexual tastes with a variety of women, and he also satisfies his lust with the different women in 5-star hotels, such as the standard of this man who belonged to the very civil upper class society. Then returns home and beats his wife. Now, sexual abuse or exploitation is not the only medium he practices in order to suppress or in order to dominate or in order to exploit the women, but he also projects violence. When he returns home, he turns to violence. He beats his wife. Why he beats his wife? Because of an over-ironed handkerchief or shirt collar. Because of such insignificant things, he turns to violence towards his wife. So such is the double-faced attitude of this man. And next stanza. In his office, Mr. Big puffs on a cigarette, shuffles through files, rings for his employee, shouts, demands tea, drinks, and returns to writing people's character references. Now this man, Nasreen is telling that this man is unkind and he doesn't treat his employees well, but there is also a tone. He shouts, he demands tea, drinks, but then too he treats his employees better than those women who is related to him. At least from in the comparatively he treats them well than the women whom he is related. And then there is a very ironic tone in the very last sentence, returns to writing people's characters references. So this is the man who has authority to pass his judgment over the character of the other people, or issuing character references to the people. So here Nasreen is pointing out the veracity of such references given by the man who himself is morally corrupt, whose own character is in question. Next stanza, his employee. Now this next character which is introduced here is the employee of the first man, that upper class white collar man. He is the employee. Next man is employee of the first man, and he's subordinate. We can say he's subordinate of the first man. And how is he? Let's see. His employee speaks in such a low voice that no one would ever suspect how at home he also raises his voice, is vile to his family. So here this second man is, though his second man is very generous at outside his home, he's very generous, he's very civilized, and he's very sophisticated in his manners, but this man, when he comes at home, or when he returns to home, or when he is at home, he shouts at his wife, he abuses her, he is very vile, he shouts, his voice becomes at once loud. Who poses to be very sophisticated at outside, in his office or anywhere, somewhere else except his home. But, and there is one more characteristic which Nasreen is elaborating. So I hope that this you got. His employee speaks in such a low voice that no one would ever suspect how at home he also raises his voice as while to his family, but with his buddies on the porch or at a movie, indulges in loud harangues on politics, art, literature, and how some female, his mother, grandmother, or great grandmother, committed suicide. So now this man also engages in impassioned speech or long speech with his friends in order to show his concern or show his knowledge on such progressive topics. These are the symbol of progress: politics, art, literature, and he passes long speeches, impassioned speeches over such topics, and he has also very deep concern for the atrocities happen to his other senior female characters, which he knows as a mother, grandmother, great grandmother, and he has deep concern for them who had to commit suicide when they didn't cope with the suppression and domination happened to them. So such is the second man. And then next, bidding goodbye to his buddies, and as he bids goodbye, as he returns to home, what he does: beats his wife over a bar of soap or the baby's pneumonia. And his attitude is also the very same like his boss. He also beats his wife, he also hits her over such trivial things, such trivial matters like bar of soap or baby's pneumonia. Next day at work, he pleasantly brings the tea. Now here is the third character which is introduced by Nasreen here, and this character is a bearer or a waiter who brings the tea, keeps the lighter in his pocket, receives a tip of couple of taka, who keeps lighter in his pocket and who receives tip as a part of his as a reward of his service, receives a tip of a couple of taka due to his hospitality, and tells no one that he divorced his first wife for a sterility, his second for giving birth to a daughter, his third for not bringing a sufficient dowry. Now with wife number 4, he again has someone to beat over a green chili or a handful of rice. Now how Nasreen has depicted, or how Nasreen has drafted this stanza, it's very hard to miss the very mechanicality, the very clinical tone, that without any pause or without, because she is describing the various marriages of this man, and without any sufficient formal preface or formality, because she's going to tell something very serious about this man. So this very known seriousness in telling this very significant or important aspect of this man, through this known seriousness, what Nasreen is wants to tell, that this attitude, this having many marriages and changing wives on the basis of some petty excuses like sterility, birth of a daughter, not bringing sufficient dowry, and beating the fourth wife also on over the again such trivial things like green chili or handful of rice. These things are very normal to this man, because he tells no one, because he doesn't find it that it is important to tell. He tells no one. That means it is ingrained in the system itself, that he doesn't suppose to feel it. He doesn't find the need of feeling or pondering over it, that what he is doing with with the fair sex or with the other gender. So this is the third one, who has engaged in 4 marriages, and the fourth one with the fourth wife also, his attitude has not any different. It's the same one, as he is also engaged in beating his wife. So this is the poem at the back of Progress. And there is a very glaring picture of the society, of the double face of the society, which claims to be on the passage of progressing, but the treatment, the suppression, the domination which are meted out to the women, to the half section of the society, are not even relevant to the index of that economic progress. Because whenever there is any count of economic progress or development, such issues or such realities are irrelevant or insignificant. There are some other factors, or we can say points on which the progress is measured. So this is what Taslima Nasreen has sarcastically pointed out, and it is very well mirroring her own thoughts over the progress, over the so-called progress. So that's all for today. I look forward to see you in the next session. Thank you for listening.